Watch it before you judge it, please. I personally love Jamaica, and I have already made a video on top 10 reasons why I chose Jamaica as a place to live. But I have to be fair. What if somebody watches my videos and decides to relocate to Jamaica thinking, Jamaica no problem, it's paradise, flying fairies, fluffy rabbits? Well, this simply isn't true. Of course, Jamaica has plenty of problems, but unfortunately, most of them are not discussed anywhere. With this video, I'd like to focus on the real problems of Jamaica that are going to influence your everyday life if you live here. So here comes 10 reasons why living in Jamaica can be difficult. It is important to understand that if you are a foreigner and you decide to live in Jamaica, some of the problems local Jamaicans have to deal with are not going to apply to you, and vice versa. Some of the problems that will influence your everyday life might not be an issue for Jamaicans. So this video is subjective. I'm sharing my personal experience when living in Jamaica has been difficult for me, but still, I believe this information can be crucial to people who are maybe thinking of moving to Jamaica. Without further ado, let's start with something simple. Problem number 1, the island factor. Look, you can get most things in Jamaica. There are supermarkets, appliances stores, household goods. Everything necessary for life is available. Maybe not in every town, but in Kingston for sure. Until there is a moment when you need something specific, like this microphone for my YouTube videos. It's not like you can go to any shop and find it. There is simply not enough demand in Jamaica for some items, so they just don't get imported. Like, I need a car part for my old truck, and it turned out I can only get it from Britain. Extra expensive. I was seriously thinking, should I get this car part or maybe a new car? So what's the solution? The easiest one is to fly to the US or buy things online, but because it's an international delivery, it's the whole quest kind of thing. And I will talk more about it in my shopping videos, but this brings me to problem number 2. You know how people talk that Jamaica is a poor country? Well, Jamaicans think that the salaries are low, and yes, they are lower than in the so-called first world countries, but they're certainly much higher than the rest of the world, like most of Africa, Asia, Latin America, or even Eastern Europe. Salaries are not the problem, it's the cost of living. I'm going to make a video on how much it actually costs to live in Jamaica and why there are so many people struggling to make ends meet. So if you want to relocate to Jamaica, make sure you can afford it first, because living in the Caribbean is not cheap. Problem number 3, the lack of business people. Nobody ever talks about it, and even if you think that business might be a bad thing, let me explain. A lot of Jamaicans have this entrepreneurial spirit. They're decisive, they're active, but they don't know how to run their own business, and there is no way for them to find out either. So instead of them using their potential to create projects, attract investments, create jobs, and build economy, and use a business as a force for good to solve problems, some of these entrepreneurial people simply ignore the potential and just look for a job. Others try to apply the potential, but they don't know any better, so they go and harass tourists in the street or something. Anyway, how's that bad and how's that going to affect you? Well, not enough decent competition in different industries is what drives prices up and quality down. So even if you want to retire in Jamaica or just stay in the hills, have a little farm and a peaceful life, that's brilliant. But the moment you need some kind of service, you will be affected. The solution? Not a quick one. And it's a long story. This video is about the problems, so next one. Problem number 4, the lack of specialists. If Jamaica is so wonderful, why are there so many Jamaicans who relocate to Canada, USA, or Britain? The main reason, they want to get better jobs. And of course it makes sense. Check out problems 2 and 3. Why is it a problem to people who live in Jamaica? Because it's very difficult to find good specialists in Jamaica. It's not like they don't exist, they do, but the population in general is not big enough to supply the market and demand in different areas. And this problem gets worse because a lot of talented, educated, experienced Jamaicans leave Jamaica to find job elsewhere. This doesn't help, said the Ukrainian who left Ukraine, the country that is in exactly the same position as Jamaica when it comes to immigration. Anyway, searching for good specialists can be a problem. Not so much in Kingston, but anywhere outside of Kingston. Let's say I want to find a good plumber. Where do I find him? I need to ask a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend, and this is how I find a good plumber, maybe. Then he comes, does the job, okay, and then he says, I can also help you with electrical stuff, and I can do gardening, I can help you with your car, and also if you have tourists, I can take them for a tour around the island. There are some absolutely hard-working people who are ready to do any job to make a living. So they do everything. And as a result, they're not best at anything. You simply cannot be a perfect plumber and a perfect tour guide. It just doesn't work that way. You see, it's a vicious circle in Jamaica. People cannot plan long-term because, surprise, they need to eat now. So they take any job that comes their way. So many people follow the same pattern, and as a result, they compete with each other. But no one is better than the other, and it's not good for anyone. They don't get paid as much as they could if they were specialists, and the people who hire them don't get the quality service. So next time, they don't want to hire them, and they hire someone else, and the circle repeats. Problem number 5, helping family. There is an amazing quality Jamaican people have. They stand up for each other, they support each other, especially when it comes to family and friends. How's that a bad thing? When it comes to personal matters, it's brilliant and it's admirable. But when rational decisions have to be made, this is when the problem of trying to help family comes in. For example, you have a nephew who needs a job. You have a friend who works at a garage. So, you go to a friend. Why don't you help my nephew to get a job there? Maybe because he's not good at cars, or maybe because he doesn't want to work in that industry. The result, you have one unhappy mechanic, one unhappy employer, and quite a few unhappy customers. At the same time, there is somebody else's nephew who dreams about that particular job and can be good at it, but he cannot get it because it's already taken. This serves no good to anyone. And these, ladies and gentlemen, are the real problems of Jamaican job market. Some people don't have the tools to use the potential. Others are just too focused on survival because they don't really have a choice to search for passion and focus on something. And Jamaicans are soft-hearted and emotional. For a job market to become like in Western Europe, people need to be cold-minded and rational all the time. Do you think Jamaica will ever be like that? Will it even be Jamaica then? But if you're Jamaican watching this video, think about it. Maybe something can and should be done by us, not the government, but average people. I'd like to hear your ideas. Problem number 6. Let's move on from work to some hobbies and interests. It's important to find the time to enjoy your life, sharing interests with others, people who understand you, who share the same values. Maybe it's not as important for surviving, but it is important for living. There are a lot of things you can do in Jamaica. And for some hobbies and interests, Jamaica is much better than other countries. For example, if you're a big fan of spearfishing, there is a fantastic community here. But what if you spend your whole life doing capoeira martial arts? There is a tiny community in Kingston doing capoeira, but it's just not enough. How important are these things anyway? When moving to a different country, your interests and things you want to do should be the priority. Otherwise, what's the point? If you move to Jamaica and it doesn't have the important things you love, you are going to be unhappy here. The same applies to any country. People always focus on work, and I'm a workaholic myself. But what is it for if you cannot enjoy your life? Problem number 7, classicism. Jamaica doesn't really have a big issue with racism like you would have in some other countries. Yes, you can go to a laundry and get a receipt with your name stated as white man. It's not a racial comment. It's not an insult. It's not even rude. It's just the way people... Anyway, I'm just going to go into that in some cultural differences video. However, there is a serious situation in Jamaica with classism. And usually it is related to some kind of financial status. How's that going to influence you? Well, I have friends and acquaintances among different groups of people, and I don't care about their status, it's the personality that matters. But it is not always the same for Jamaicans themselves. For instance, you have people in downtown Kingston and you have people in uptown Kingston, and they don't really spent much time together. Whether consciously or subconsciously, people are going to try to place you within their idea of class. And this leads me to problem number 8, stereotypes and assumptions. This is painful pain that can be very annoying to the point that you can just get tired explaining the same things again and again. I bet it's pretty annoying for Jamaicans too, living elsewhere. But let me share my situation. When people from Ukraine or from some other countries find out that I live in Jamaica, they go, aha, you probably smoke weed. Oh, there you go. Not all people in Jamaica smoke weed. But you don't. No, I don't. Well, you don't like weed? So you think weed is bad? No, I don't think weed is bad. So you don't smoke? So you do smoke it? No, I don't smoke. I'm allergic to it. So you think weed is good? No, I don't think it's... Oh, it's irrelevant. What does it have to do with Jamaica? Oh, God. And the same goes about other stereotypes. People just tag me, you know. You went there for black guys. Oh, you're probably rich. Oh, Jamaica is so dangerous. Do you know you're probably going to get raped there every day? Huh? None of this talking should matter. But it does, because I have to explain myself, and sometimes to Jamaicans too. People are friendly, everything's great, and then there is this one guy who's going to throw a bunch of assumptions at me. All of them suggest that I have some kind of malicious purpose in mind. Well, I don't blame him. People are often afraid of what's different. And if you're Jamaican living in some other country, or you're foreigner living in Jamaica, you are different. So what? Nothing we can do about it. Whatever. Just be emotionally ready for it, and that's it. Problem number 9, the consequences of freedom. Freedom is a great thing. This is one of the reasons I chose Jamaica. But of course, if I can do what I want, others can do too. And I'm not talking about the illegal stuff here. It's more like if people next door decide to have a party in the middle of the night and the music is really loud, you can do absolutely nothing about it. Once my neighbors were having a party and it was really loud and I had to wake up early for work, so I decided to ask my neighbors to turn the music down. Not a good idea. They saw me as that absolute evil. I mean, the party breaker in Jamaica. What can be worse? It was like 6 years ago when I just came to Jamaica, but still imagine. Some girl in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., comes to a party of 100 people and says, could you please turn your music down? The culture specialist. Embarrassing. And so much for dangerous Jamaica. If there was someone who was going to kill me for that, it was my husband the next day when he found out. But this is just one example. A more serious issue would be probably trespassing. In Jamaica, you can observe this situation. A man is walking on the street and there is this big wall in front of him. And you look at him walking like straight into this wall. It's like really, really high wall. And you go, oh, it's a wall, it's a wall. So he comes to it and whoop, and continues. Huh, huh, that. I wonder if problem of trespassing exists in Jamaica because people are fit enough to do it. I can't imagine someone doing like that. I mean, it's like really big wall. You know, you just... Amazing. On a serious note, trespassing issue is often viewed as a lack of respect for private property in Jamaica. But the real problem in the first place is that some public spaces are taken away from people and the alternative is not provided. So you either walk around this newly built building for half an hour or whoop. How's that going to affect you? Well, it affected me in many different ways, but I wouldn't say any of them were particularly bad. But it's just you need to understand what you should expect. Problem number 10. Things take time. One lady came to Montego Bay to meet a family of her Jamaican boyfriend. And she says, I want to go to a bank, open a bank account there, then pop into tax office to get my TRN. And on the way back, I would probably stop at the police station to get my police record. So we're probably going to be back by noon. What kind of places would you suggest for lunch over here? And I see her boyfriend laughing. There is no way you can do something like this in Jamaica. I mean, by noon, you would still be in a queue in the bank. Somewhere in the beginning. When you come to Jamaica on holidays, things taking time is not a problem. It's actually a good thing. You chill, relax, But when you live here and you work here, you have to make sure you kind of adjust to the island time. Otherwise, you're just going to get frustrated. Especially if you lived in a big city before and the pace of life there was really fast. You really need to adjust and chill. And that's it. But wait, I thought this list should be very different. Number 1, crime. Number 2, crime. Number 3, crime. Guys, crime is a result of a lot of small problems piling up. And I will make a separate video about it. For now, I just state the facts. Crime doesn't actually affect your everyday life in Jamaica. The fear of crime does, but not the crime itself. Crime exists, and certain people have a lot of problems with it. However, most likely it's not going to affect your life. Maybe it's going to affect mine now because of this YouTube channel, but not yours. Anyway, I'm not going to hide away from difficult topics, as I'm sure you can tell now. My mother once told me, when you're choosing a partner, the things you love about him are important, but it is the things you don't like about him that would matter the most, whether you're going to be happy together or not. Apparently, the same thing can apply to a country. So if you're interested in Jamaica and wish to join the discussion, welcome to the club of passionate people about Jamaica. Thank you for watching. My name is Irina, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.